We've had this car for almost about a year now, and you guys have probably seen them on social media, but there's some G80s throwing some insane horsepower numbers all over the place. There's people running 800 horsepower, 900 horsepower, even 1,000 horsepower. And then some people are even blowing their stock trans because they're running, I think there was a guy running 1,300, something like that. But yeah, these cars are definitely capable of running a lot of horsepower. And today we're gonna be taking the first few steps to get this car a little bit faster. As you may or may not know, the first thing you need to do on these cars to get any type of increase in power is unlock the ECU. We're gonna have to send the ECU off, and we'll actually be taking that out the car today as well. But one of the first things we're actually gonna be doing is installing this Bootmod Flex Fuel kit. So this is from Pro Tuning Freaks, and with this we can be running E50. Yeah, we're gonna be running E50, and for that to happen we're gonna need this Bootmod kit, and I think the install for this should be rather easy, so hopefully we can get this done and on here today. Now, I'm not gonna be making this really an install video because Keys Motorsports has an install video, and honestly it doesn't really get much better than their production quality. So yeah, I'm just gonna be following their instructions today and trying to install this as smoothly as possible. But I just wanna open this thing up, make sure I have the right parts in here. And the reason I'm running Bootmod over the other company, I forgot what the other company's name is solely because I'm running the Bootmod tune on the car in the future. So I just thought I'd keep everything in-house. And this is kind of the main piece. And this is the actual Flex Fuel sensor. So here's a plan. Get this Flex Fuel kit installed today, remove the ECU. The car is going to be bricked here in the garage for the next 2 weeks, give or take a few days. And then from there, once we have the ECU back, we'll go ahead and reinstall it, flash the tune on the car, put some E85 in it, run up to E50, see how the car feels. And then from there, the exciting thing is we actually got some titanium intakes that actually just got delivered today. So those are actually going to be going on the car as well. And then from there, we can actually send out some requests to get a custom tune made for all the different mods that we have in the car. And the good thing is, a few months ago, we actually got a downpipe installed, and it's a catalyst downpipe. We already have the prerequisites to be running stage 2 on this car, which is super exciting. And I'm not really doing this for the power sake of it. I'm not a huge speed junkie, not at all. I do not like driving fast, but let's see if this changes anything. If you're wondering if I know what I'm doing, I do not. I just watched a couple of YouTube videos and I'm hoping that I can do this myself. So I think what we're trying to get at here is the fuel line. And where is that? Oh, right here. So this piece can come off. I think that just snaps off, right? How is this thing stuck on here? And then I do see the fuel line right here. So that goes all the way back there. So that's pretty easy to access. And then the only other thing we need to remove is this little vent right here. And I think this should come off rather easy. So this is where we're at so far. We got our Flex Fuel kit plugged up. We got our fuel lines plugged into the actual Bootmod sensor. That is now way back there. And then we also did start running our wire, so you can see it a little bit. I tried to make it look as OEM as possible, but I ran it right there. So I ran it across that under this little molding piece, and then from there I did pull this firewall piece off and then send it through that little hole right there. So you do have to poke through that, make a little slit and then send it through. So now we have our entire kind of engine bay portion of the mod set up and ready to go. Now, before I do anything else, I am going to start removing the ECU because we have everything kind of in front of us now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. The only thing to note is that you do need to number these because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they have to go back in this exact same order. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this, and then we're pretty much done up here. And before I start removing the ECU from the car itself, I actually did go ahead and start printing these tiny little labels. So this has 1, I got them numbered 1 through 6, and I'm gonna actually mark each of the plugs that come off the ECU, just so in the future I know exactly where each plug goes and I'm not putting the wrong one into the wrong slot. So this is gonna be the safer option, and then I also know that I'm not doing anything incorrectly going forward. So for this one, I got a 1 sticker right here. I can just throw this on kind of wherever. And now I know that this is plug 1, slot 1, and I'm never gonna mix that up. So yeah, if you guys wanna do this, highly recommend, but I know some people don't care as much, so they're just gonna take them out, plug them back in, and not worry about it. So I just got the DME out of the car, and for some reason, I have a feeling that this was removed once in the past. I'm not sure if it was or not. All of our wiring up here is color coded. So the one main plug and the one side plug correspond to the same color. The 5 and the 5, they correspond, like these two have the same color on them and so on. So I'm not really sure what that means entirely. Best case scenario, this thing was removed and has already been unlocked once, and I'm just not aware of it. But yeah, I guess we'll send it off and find out what happens. Before I begin on the inside and the wiring for the Flex Fuel kit, I think I'm just gonna call it here for today at least. Get this thing packaged up, get it sent out ASAP so that we can get it back as soon as possible. And then we can actually focus on the wiring and stuff while this is being worked on itself. So yeah, honestly, this is pretty easy up until now. Even the wiring is very simple. They have everything kind of flushed out. You know exactly where everything needs to be plugged up and so on. So it's honestly not gonna be bad at all. We'll go ahead and send this thing off, get the wiring situated, and then by then this thing will be back, and then we can have some fun. So super excited, and we'll see how this thing drives once this is back on. There'll be a good amount of changes coming up here in the next few weeks, I would say. Before we end the video, I actually do gotta run some errands. We gotta drop off the F80 that's been sitting outside my house for like the last month. Let's go ahead and do that, and we'll drop this thing off in the meantime as well. Honestly, I have not driven this car enough, and it kind of sucks. As you can tell, everything is basically frozen on this thing, but let's get this thing warmed up. It's honestly been parked here for so long that this looks like rain, but it's actually frozen. Everything on the car is frozen, and that's honestly why I haven't driven the car. Because of the bad weather, it's been snowing, it's been really cold. Obviously, there's been a lot of salt here in Maryland. So I was like, this is not my car. I didn't really want to ruin it or mess it up, make it any dirtier than it already is. Strategy, if you're watching this, please clean your car. It is absolutely disgusting. But yeah, it's been here for 3 weeks and I've driven it once. But today's the day we're going to be dropping this thing off. It's going to be our only little joyride that we get. Let's see if we can get some of this ice melted off before we start driving. The G80s feel great when you're driving them. Don't get me wrong. They're very fast, very fun to drive. But the raw mechanical feeling of an F80, a lot of people can relate in terms of the E90s. The E90s drive even more raw. The analog feeling of these older BMWs is nicer than the newer BMWs. Now, the new BMWs are super smooth and so on, and people love them. But I think the older the BMW, the better it drives, just for that analog feeling. If you don't like that, you don't like that. And then this thing is a manual, so that's a huge plus. Uber for Nabil?
Yep.
Yeah?
Pick up for Nabil.
Okay. Where's the Supra?
I ain't driving down this road.
It's not that bad. But we dropped off the car. Now, time to grab some food, to be honest. I'm starving.
Yep.